Welcome to this special episode of the Boxing Science Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be responding to your questions that you leave in the comment box on our YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be covering a range of different subjects, assault bike workouts, to plyometric press-ups and ballistic and plyometric exercises, and also having a little comment on Tyson Fury's strength and conditioning methods. So in the Boxing Science Reacts series, it's fantastic to analyse and evaluate the training methods of the champions of today. Also look at the training methods of the future champions, but also look at the past champions as well. Now, Tyson Fury is somebody that's at the top of the tree at the moment. I've decided not to do his Boxing Science Reacts video because he's quoted about how he doesn't need sports science. He's often kind of slated anti-Joshua for having all these sports scientists around him, and Tyson Fury just doesn't need that. He just needs to box. Nobody needs to tell him what to do. However, he does have a strength and conditioning coach and does have a nutritionist. So he's trying to improve his physical performance to help enhance his boxing performance as well. In terms of his strength and conditioning, he seems to be doing quite random stuff, quite heavy stuff. Technique isn't optimal, but it's something that works for him. If Tyson Fury was sat in the room right now and he asked me what are the benefits of sports science, he's 12-round fit, he's gone to war with Deontay Wilder and everything like that. He's been boxing all his life. So he's efficient in fighting. He probably could do in the gym 15, 20, 25 rounds, all at a certain pace. In terms of his punch outputs, in terms of his fights with Wilder and everything like that, is a lot lower than the punch outputs of other heavyweights such as Usyk, such as Joshua, such as Joe Joyce as well. As he got the ability to go up the gears, him being 6'9" and a master boxer, he's able to basically manage that pace. If he comes up against a fighter such as Usyk, that might be able to work through the gears and make him work harder, then that might affect his fitness going towards the latter rounds. Also, what you've got to consider with Tyson Fury now is started to creep into his mid-30s and he's wanting to have 5 more years at the top of the game. When you get past your 30s, now I know this now, you start picking up injuries, starts getting a little bit harder to do your training. Footballers or boxers or combat sport athletes end up kind of declining in terms of their performance. The ones that kind of look after their bodies in the best way from a very early age tend to maintain performance going into them latter stages of the career. This is why I picked out in the Boxing Science Reacts video with Gervonta Davis, where he mentioned about longevity, looking after his body to make sure that he is ready for the new crop, the new generation of lightweights that are coming through, rather than just thinking about 10 or 12-week camps. It's not necessarily to go, right, Tyson Fury, we're going to make you into even better boxer, we're going to make you even fitter and stronger than ever before. It's more like we're increasing your longevity so you can stay at the top for longer. This brings me on to another argument in terms of kind of this old school boxing mindset where a lot of boxing coaches in the past have said, well, Muhammad Ali didn't do it or Sugar Ray Robinson didn't do it, so why should these crop of boxers do it as well? My argument to them is that people like Muhammad Ali, they trained to the best of their ability to what was available to them. Muhammad Ali, skipping, press-ups, sit-ups, intense circuits, intense boxing work, going on to the long road runs and everything like that. That was available to them at that stage. Now we've got advances in sports science and strength and conditioning. If Muhammad Ali was around today, he'd probably be doing all this and probably be advancing his physical performance. So old school fighters, even though that they didn't have this available and didn't do it, they still look for ways to try and enhance their physical performance, improve their boxing performance. Muhammad Ali was quoted about the will being stronger than the skill, always doing his sit-ups, didn't start counting until they hurt. This was a very old school method, but he's trying to put as much into his physical preparation to help enhance his boxing performance. So now with sports science research and advances in technology, boxers are able to do this in a safer and more effective way to help enhance their physical performance, help enhance their longevity, to help improve their boxing career. Question from Jan Ferrer. Would 20 seconds on and 40 seconds off work in response to the speed endurance workout that we recently did with Terry Harper, where we're doing 12 seconds on, 48 seconds off, between 15 and 20 repetitions. 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off is a tool that we use. Probably do it at a lesser intensity. So with the 12 seconds on, 48 seconds off, normally go to between 85 and 95% of their max speed, depending on the athlete and how they respond in terms of their lactate and their rate of perceived exertion. With the 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, you'd probably be looking at around about 80% of the maximum speed. This can be done on the curve, but also can be done on the air bike. This is a session that I'd probably say for athletes wanting to do this high speed muscle buffering session if they don't have access to an air bike or the curved treadmill. If they're doing it outside, then you don't want to be running too fast because this increases likelihood of lower body injuries. You can do it on the treadmill as well because you're not able to actually hit the right amount of speed to stimulate that adaptation as well. So if you've got a treadmill that goes up to 22, 23 kilometers an hour, the 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off protocol can be a fantastic alternative to the high speed muscle buffering sessions that we do at Boxing Science. Question from Yabba. Hello coach, clapping push-ups versus plyo push-ups shown in this video, which one would be more beneficial? So plyometric press-ups, a fantastic exercise for hand speed. Athletes might find it quite difficult to create the right amount of speed and maintain form and technique in terms of neutral posture during the plyometric press-ups. So we do alternatives such as doing it on the bench or using a band to try and assist that movement and take a little bit of the body weight stress away. With clapping press-ups, obviously you do this on the floor, but you can also do it on bench or with the bands as well. But we're looking to try and accelerate all the way through the movement. So all the way through to end range of the movement, because this will transfer towards a punching action. With clapping press-ups, I find a lot of athletes try and generate as much force as they can at the initiation of the concentric action. And then because they're having to clap, they don't get that acceleration all the way through. They almost like try and clap straight away and bring their arms together rather than kind of accelerating through. This affects hand speed, it affects that total acceleration of the movement, also affects tricep activation, which is vital for delivering fast and hard punches. So that's the reason why we don't do the clapping action. Also, the reason why we don't do it from the floor is because athletes might find it quite difficult to maintain that posture during a plyometric press-up. Question from Xavier. Is vertical or horizontal jumping more important for punching power? Now this is something that we covered quite recently on the Boxing Science Reacts video, where we're talking about Devin Haney using broad jumps. Broad jumps are a great tool in terms of broadening the athletic toolbox and improving horizontal force expression. This can transfer into sprinting and athletic actions. However, horizontal jumping, we're quite limited in terms of like the landing forces and controlling landing forces, especially with boxers being quite knee and quad dominant. But take that aside, what is more important, horizontal jumping or vertical jumping? Now, vertical jumping, I'd say, is the most important because even though a punch is a horizontal action, the boxer stays fixed in position. So mostly what we're looking at is vertical impulse. The vertical impulse transferring the force upwards from the lower body through to the core and then transfers into horizontal action through rotation of the torso, also delivering that punch anteriorly. Even though it looks like horizontal movement, a lot of S&C coaches put horizontal jumping and ballistic exercises into the program, we're more looking for vertical expression of force, especially from the lower body. So instead of doing stuff like broad jumps, we look to do vertical jumps such as counter movement jump, loaded counter movement jump, trap bar counter movement jump, box jumps, and a range of different jumping actions. Gerard Mathieu commented, thank you for the video. How many sets and reps would you advise to work on explosiveness and strength? It's a little bit of a range between what kind of exercise that you're doing. For like kind of the heavy loaded exercises such as like trap bar jump, you'd be working between 3 and 5 repetitions to 3 to 4 sets. However, with the rotational like med ball throws and everything like that, you'd be looking anywhere between 5 and 8 repetitions on each side, times 3 to 4 sets. The other question on this video is what kind of tool are you using when she's performing the ISO pull-off press? And that's from Linus Gustafsson. So this tool is a Vald Dynamo, and this is a fantastic tool that we've just recently acquired at Boxing Science to help assess isometric strength on a range of different exercises. In this video with Terry, we're using it to assess rotational strength, and also it tells us the imbalances between left and right and how quickly she's achieving that strength. So looking at rate of force development values, which can transfer not only to rotational strength, but rotational power and force expression. Using this is fantastic to help analyze an athlete's performance, but also to give them some numbers to create that intent on isometric exercises. This is vital because you don't really get much response. Obviously, when you're lifting weights, you can see how heavy you're lifting. When we're doing velocity-based training, we can get feedback on the speed that you're lifting it at. With isometrics, you either need a force platform, which is really, really expensive, or this valve dynamo can give you a more affordable way to try and assess and give feedback to increase that intent during isometric exercises. Now, this is quite a dynamic tool, but also might be still expensive depending on your training and coaching budget. A more affordable tool is an active force dynamometer. We use that against the wall or against the floor, and we can do punch iso holds with this, and we can also do the isometric pull-off press. We also can assess grip strength with this as well. And this is a little bit more affordable than the dynamo. If you're looking to do the isometric pull-off press, you can also use a luggage crane scale. This is something like between 20 and 40 pounds. It's on Amazon or something like that. We've been using this as a tool to assess rotational strength of athletes. It's quite similar to the numbers that we're actually seeing on the dynamo. The difference is that it's a little bit more accurate and valid to do it on the dynamo, and also we get them rate of force development values as well. So yeah, there are a few different ways that you can start assessing isometric strength, highlight strengths and areas for improvement, but more importantly, to create that intent during isometric training. Got a question on one of our assault bike workout videos. Can you guys make a video explaining the difference between all of your bike programs? Trying to improve my general cardio for rounds, but not sure how. I think that's a fantastic suggestion. Probably do a more in-depth video on air bike workouts for boxing. Quick overview in terms of like air bike workouts and the reason why we use air bike so much at Boxing Science. Predominantly do our repeated sprint or sprint interval training on the air bike. On the curved treadmill, sometimes our athletes are exposing themselves to such high speeds under fatigue, it might increase the likelihood of injury, especially like lower extremity injuries such as the hamstrings. Using the air bike might be more favourable during sprint interval training and repeated sprint training. To make sure that we're still targeting that physical adaptation, we take blood lactates. So we're on a muscle buffering capacity, we work to a certain zone between 10 and 14 millimole. On the 30-second max out sprints, we look to see how hard our athletes can go. And what we've actually found is that our athletes are able to push on to higher lactates during the 30-second max out sprints on the air bike. So this is not only making it a safe tool because we're lowering the likelihood of injury and them impact forces through that associated with high speed running, but we're also increasing the lactate response, which is a sign that we're creating improved physical adaptations. We don't normally use air bike for central adaptations unless our athlete is carrying a lower body injury. Because of the resistance that's created by the wheel, makes it quite hard for athletes to get up into the red zone without like a high lactate response. They're not able to maintain a wattage, maintain an RPM to stimulate the heart rate response so we can optimize central adaptations. They're more likely to do this on the treadmill. We do this with injured athletes, but we have to work to like kind of shorter intervals. So we wouldn't do like 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off, which is our gold standard for central adaptations. More likely to do Tabatas. So 20 seconds on and 10 seconds off, getting that rest in between to make sure our athletes are still maintaining them high intensities, to have them spikes in heart rate to get up into the red zone. We also can break it up by using it as part of a circuit. So often we use the air bike part of our high intensity interval training circuits or our power endurance circuits as well. And it's a fantastic tool that we use quite often at Boxing Science to help get our athletes fitter, faster and stronger. So question on our boxing fitness bag circuit. This is an old one. This is great stuff about like the YouTube comments is that you're seeing that the content that we did years ago is still getting access now and still being useful as well. Looks intense. How many times per week? So like with the boxing red zone circuit, you don't have to do that every session. Do it like on your more intense days. So I'll probably do that twice a week or something. And I wouldn't do that as a full session. I'll literally do it at the end of the workout, just as a finisher. And you'd probably be doing between 3 and 4 rounds on this. Okay guys, so that's the end of this Boxing Science podcast episode. Thank you very much for watching or listening to the podcast. It's been great to look through the comments, answering your questions. Really appreciate the support and feedback that you give to us on YouTube and various other platforms. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. And if you're wanting your questions answered on the Boxing Science podcast, leave it in the comments. We'll make sure that we get back to you with a structured and well thought answer. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully see you on the next episode of Boxing Science Podcast.